In 2043, the first manipulators appear that can be controlled by the power of thought. Hundreds of sensors receive signals from different points in the brain. Bedridden people will be able to control their artificial bodies. In 2046, the invention became in demand during military conflicts. Surrogate robots are now available to all segments of the population and have gained great popularity. People can go outside without fear of illness or accident, and they can always look great without the gym or makeup. In 2050, an evolutionary leap occurs. According to the leader of the surrogate corporation VSI, 98% of the population started using surrogates. Society forgets about diseases and serious crimes. In 2054, a revolt against the machines breaks out. Opponents of the New World Order, the so-called dreadlocks, form colonies, where surrogates are prohibited from entering and where they minimize communication with the outside world. Their leader, named Prophet, says that the machines are evil and calls for their destruction. In 2057, a young man from a wealthy family goes to a nightclub. There he meets a beauty. The couple moves to the street, where they're attacked by a real person, who destroys both surrogates with an unusual weapon. FBI agents Jennifer and Tom arrive at the crime scene. People no longer kill each other, but simply destroy surrogates. Since a surrogate is extremely expensive, such crimes are considered vandalism. The agents manage to find out the location of the blonde operator, and the couple goes to the address. They get inside the apartment with the help of a robot receptionist. They find a man who is the owner of a surrogate beauty, whose brain is literally scorched. Tom's surrogate returns home and takes his place in the charging cabinet. After that, Tom gets up from the special chair and goes to his son's room and then to his wife. But the woman meets him on the doorstep and does not let him inside the room. A couple goes to the kitchen, where Tom invites his wife to go on vacation. But she is horrified by the thought that she will have to do it without a surrogate. The next morning, the students try to wake up their friend and discover his corpse in the surrogate's control chair. The FBI does not understand what is happening, since the operator was never killed. Tom and Jennifer watch the latest recording of the blonde surrogate. They manage to see the suspect and realize that he used an unusual weapon. It turns out that the person who died in the club is the only son of the inventor of surrogates, the founder of the VSI company, scientist Cantor. The agents go to the billionaire, but he sends to the meeting a surrogate double of his son. Tom assumes that the criminal wanted to kill not his son, but the inventor himself. Tom sympathizes with the man because he also lost his son. This shocks Cantor, and his surrogate switches off, after which the billionaire is crying in his chair. Tom and Jennifer go to VSI to ask questions about the technology that allows users to kill operators, but representatives of the corporation say that such weapons cannot exist and surrogates are absolutely safe. Tom hates dealing with surrogates because he doesn't even know who is hiding under the mask of his interlocutor. The agents go down to the laboratory, where they talk about the weapon to the scientist, who is surprised. The chips of the dead surrogates are burned to the ground. He had only seen something like this in damaged military robots, but how this was done is unclear. The agents go to the military, where one of the generals assures that there is no such weapon that can destroy the operator. Returning to the office, the agents learn that the criminal has been identified as Miles Strickland. He was arrested several times, but was quickly released. Apparently, the man has a patron in police circles. He is put on the wanted list and almost immediately spotted. Tom goes to arrest him, and Jennifer remains in the surveillance center, which is controlled by one of the few living FBI employees. She learns that technologies have emerged that make it possible not only to monitor each surrogate, but also to turn them off from a distance. Meanwhile, Tom is pursuing Strickland. When he is cornered, the man pulls out an unknown weapon, resulting in the death of several police officers. After that, he shoots at the helicopter in which Tom's surrogate is flying. The pilot dies, and the helicopter crashes and explodes. Tom loses his arm, but remains alive. He continues the persecution in the territory of the Dreadlocks colony. The local people come to the defense of the fugitive and destroy Tom's surrogate. The man has difficulty coming to his senses. Meanwhile, the police, in order to hush up the case, remove the partners from the investigation. Strickland is found by the Prophet, who wants to know where he got the miracle weapon and who paid him for the murders. The fugitive swears that he knows nothing about the customer, who communicated with him only by phone. At this time, Tom is in the hospital, where he learns about his removal from the investigation and the refusal to give him a new surrogate. The man decides to take a risk and personally go out onto the street, where he tries to adapt to independent life among surrogates. Tom goes to the Dreadlock colony to continue his investigation and ends up at Strickland's cremation ceremony. The process is led by the Prophet, who calls on followers to fight against businessmen who have turned humanity into a crowd of soulless robots. The agent tries to get to the Prophet, but is beaten by the guards. The Prophet declares that he does not know anything about the weapon that kills operators. After that, Tom is driven out of the colony. At the exit, a limousine awaits him with a young Cantor surrogate, who is dissatisfied with a slow investigation. Tom admits that his son died in the accident. The scientist suggests focusing on finding out the origin of the weapon. Tom returns home, where he finds his wife's friends having fun with electrical substances. The man beats one of them and asks his wife to return to the real world. But her surrogate refuses to get rid of the plastic mask and goes into the room, where Tom's wife, disfigured in the accident, is crying in a chair. Meanwhile, a killer enters Jennifer's house and kills the sleeping woman, after which he transfers the control over Jennifer's surrogate to someone else. Tom contacts a US Army colonel and finds out that the weapon is a virus emitter that infects the surrogate's operating system through optical sensors, with a virus that blocks its functioning. However, during the development of the weapon, it turned out that the virus also hacked the built-in protection and killed the operator. In exchange for this information, Tom tells the military that the only working copies of the device are in the possession of the Prophet. The man orders his guards to take the briefcase with the weapon to Jennifer. Tom goes to his wife's work, where he apologizes for his behavior. Tom says that he misses her and his son very much. Hearing this, the surrogate switches off, and the real wife takes another medicine. The military conducts an operation on the territory of the colony and finds out that the Prophet is just a surrogate. It becomes clear to Jennifer that Strickland has recently been working for the FBI. She reports this to Tom. The man comes to his boss and tells his conclusions about his corruption, and that it was on his orders that Cantor should have been killed. After this, Tom disables the surrogate, hacks the computer, and copies files confirming his words. He manages to leave the building before the real boss gets to the phone. Jennifer picks up Tom on the street. The man finds the VSI connection with the manufacturer of weapons and cooperation with Dreadlocks. After that, Jennifer reports that Tom had an accident and then arranges this accident. While Tom is recovering from the collision, the surrogate takes from him a flash drive with data and a suitcase with a weapon that the Dreadlocks gave her. Tom tries to chase the surrogate, but she is too fast. As a result, his car flies into a window and he has to hide from his colleagues. Since Tom does not have a radio beacon in his head like the surrogates, he manages to escape. Then Tom decides to go to Cantor's mansion. Jennifer takes Bob hostage and gets control over the surrogate surveillance center. Bob manages to convey to Tom that the surrogate has penetrated the database of all surrogates in the country. The boss finds out about what is happening and goes to negotiate with Jennifer, but she takes him at gunpoint. It turns out that this surrogate is controlled by Cantor, who is disappointed in his own invention. The scientist tried to limit the use of surrogates, but this was not appreciated by his colleagues from VSI. At this time, Tom arrives at his mansion, but the guards do not allow the agent to see the scientist. He has to fight his way out. Meanwhile, Jennifer's surrogate uploads a virus to the surrogate's surveillance network. Tom walks through the rooms of the mansion and sees many surrogates. He understands that Cantor was both a prophet and a murderer, and also controlled other surrogates. He finds the center from which Cantor ruled the world. The scientist admits that he wanted to give bedridden people the opportunity to live a full life. He did not plan that the others would want to replace themselves in reality. Now the viral emitter is his opportunity to get rid of surrogates, while killing everyone who does not want to give up their plastic doubles. The system notifies that the virus is fully loaded, and Cantor takes the poison. Tom sits in his chair and takes control of Jennifer's surrogate. With Bob's help, he manages to isolate the operators from the infected surrogates, but when it comes to saving the robots, the man stops. The next moment, a police sniper destroys Jennifer. The process now can no longer be stopped. Surrogates all over the world fall to the ground unconscious. Tom goes out into the fresh air and sees the streets filled with the bodies of surrogates. People dressed in robes come out of their houses. Apparently, they did not leave their homes for a long time. Tom runs home and finds his wife standing by the window. At this time, a speech is heard from the news, summarizing what happened and stating that now people will have to live without surrogates.